Hey, good morning and welcome back to the Daily Deer. This is episode 33 or day 33, 33rd day of the year, or February 2nd. Just make it as confusing as possible as to what day it is. Let's get into the deer woods. Today's quote comes from Aldo Leopold. The land ethic simply enlarges the boundaries of the community to include soils, waters, plants, and animals, or collectively, the land. There's this term in doing the research and putting in the effort to come up with, really digging deep to figure out how we're going to do a piece of content every day for 365 days a year. Some of it's not so difficult because of the seasonality, but it is tricky. And this word that I've come across here is the biotic community. So I know it's two words, but biotic is not a word that I've actually fully understood. So I had to define it. A biotic community is a group of living organisms that live in the same area and interact with each other. So learn something new every day, apparently. And, to kind of what we're trying to do is relay the quote into some broader thought here. That's what we're trying to do is, keep our minds in the deer woods all year round. But a healthy biotic community thrives when every part of the ecosystem is in balance. So as hunters, we do play a vital role in conservation. And I've heard arguments about like hunting isn't necessarily conservation. I would argue that it is, in fact, conservation. It's not just by managing the deer populations or the herd and other animals that we hunt. Obviously, this is the Daily Deer podcast. So it speaks to that part, but really, it helps ensure that the land remains abundant for all wildlife. Little actions like restoring habitat, something that, the OKS Hunter does through our local conservation community, the Waukesha County Land Conservancy, where we donate 1% of our time and 1% of our revenue in effort to align with our 2% for conservation support. So, those are things that you can do to have an impact in addition to hunting. But ultimately, we're trying to support conservation initiatives and create lasting change. Now, that change is really a tiny, tiny fraction. It's barely even noticeable, right? It's not anything significant. We're not, some insanely large organization doing major things. We're not going to Washington, D.C. and lobbying. But it is what we can do with the time we do have. And that's where I feel like I want to make an actionable impact. I want to put forth action and have some sort of impact. So going out and cutting I forget the vegetation that's overgrown, but this thorn bush, we're cutting that and putting daubers on it to make sure those don't keep growing. We're picking up trash. We're out there trying to be good stewards of the land that we also hunt. And maybe there's some intrinsic value there. It feels good to go do those things and to know I'm actually doing that stuff. And OKS Hunter as an organization, the bigger we get, that 1% number of total revenue that goes back into conservation, that number gets bigger. And the organization that we support can do more with those dollars, like acquiring more land for access and things of that nature. So, get involved with your local conservation efforts wherever you are, whatever that might look like. It doesn't have to be the big national ones, though you could do those also. Typically with those, you pledge some sort of dollar amount on a monthly or annual basis. They give you a knife, a magazine, and, you get to be a part of it. They have local chapters, so you can maybe at the local level do some things. But whether, it's through planting native forage or removing invasive species or advocating for responsible land use, there's something you can be doing in addition to buying your tag and supporting conservation through, things like oh gosh, it's too early for me to remember. I'm not going to bother trying to think of the term because I'll get all tripped up and have to do a Google search. But anyway, the takeaway is the best hunters don't just take from land, they give back. And I think if we think about who is the best hunter, rather than think about who kills the most or the biggest deer, think about it as the ones who give the most back. And that's an interesting thought. And so protect the biotic community. There's the new term today to ensure for a better future for both wildlife and hunters like tomorrow. And that's the Daily Deer today. Thanks for trekking into the deer woods with me. Have a great day. Happy February 2nd. It's Sunday. And hopefully you guys can enjoy your coffee or what. I don't know why. I wonder when people are listening to this. And also don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. It is in the show notes. There will be prizes. for sharing that with other people. Thanks, everybody.